Can I just invite you to bow your heads as we have a word of prayer, shall we? Our Heavenly Father, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Truly, this is our bodies and our minds are an amazing work of chemistry and physics, so many things working together, and ultimately so that we can communicate with you. And we ask, Heavenly Father, that you would grace us again with your Holy Spirit. We know that our attending angels are here, and help us, Lord, to be able to take these examples to heart, and also give us opportunities to practice them. Bless us now, each one of us, we ask in the precious name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. Now, before we begin, does anybody have a lingering question on just charcoal? A lingering question. Okay, we have one question here.
Is charcoal only used for treatment or for preventive?
Can charcoal be used only as a treatment or a preventive? We know people who will, well, a good example is my brother and his wife. They used to be commercial fishermen, and they would fish all day out on the big ocean, and then they'd come back in the evening, and they'd cook a big meal. And then they'd go down to the bottom of the boat where the boat rocks back and forth. And they said everything would get woozy, and they couldn't sleep. And so as a preventive, I'm not sure it was a good idea as a preventive, but they would take charcoal and they had no motion sickness or anything like that. And again, as people, we showed you a slide yesterday where these laboratory rats, old laboratory rats, they extended their lifespan by 34%. And this was an experiment to see if the charcoal would have any impact on longevity. So there's a good example of using charcoal as a preventive. So you can use it as a treatment, but also as a preventive. When we were at a trade show, we had a booth, and this man came up, and he was a nurse in a hospital, and he said that at the very first little tingling in his throat, the whole family took charcoal to prevent a flu from coming on. So, but that means you have to pay attention to your body.
Yes, but there is that nurse. There is that nurse that took the tablets also. I don't know if it was the same one who worked on a critical care ward, and the other nurses and doctors and what were always getting sick, and he just sucked on tablets constantly, and he didn't get sick, and it was just amazing. And I, for one, am one that takes charcoal on a daily basis. Yeah. I take a tablespoon every day.
Kimberly, why don't you come around here in front so that you can hand off this charcoal to the people as they come up. So, now was there one other question that I see? Yes.
Is there a difference between the charcoal that you take internally and the charcoal that you take externally? Meaning when you buy it in the store?
In a store, in this area, you'll probably see a hardwood powder. It's hard to find charcoal powder anywhere in the United States. That may change, but right now
it is changing.
There are only a few outlets that are putting it out there. And typically it's one of two. It's either hardwood or coconut powder. And Kimberly usually refers people to one for a poultice and the other one for taking internally.
Okay, the hardwood activated charcoal is just a touch, a little more coarse and such, and so that one is really ideal for applying topically. There are other reasons for doing so, but I'm not going to go into it because it's going to get confusing. But it is very ideal, even though it's the least expensive of the activated charcoals. There are other reasons to use it topically as well. But for making a poultice, for taking a bath, doing a foot soak or whatever, hands, it comes off much more easily with soap, and it washes off more easily. The bamboo, the coconut shell, they're finer powders, and you're going to find they're going to really cling. And unless you're in an emergency type situation where you needed to give somebody a bath with the coconut shell powder or the bamboo, You just don't want to do it because you're going to really turn people off. It's just a mess, but the hardwood is much more manageable. Now, taking the coconut shell activated charcoal powder internally has its advantages too. It's such a fine powder that when it gets to the gut, it reacts much more quickly, okay? And as we mentioned, as John mentioned yesterday, that coconut shell charcoal actually absorbs radiation. So that's a real big plus. So we're all getting bombarded, and that's one of the reasons I take it internally, but not the only reason that I do the coconut shell.
So this one with the blue label is a coconut powder, very fine. It's
And USP
also
grade.
U.S. Pharmacopoeia grade. It's been passed. This is a hardwood. We'll just pass these if you wouldn't mind bringing them right back up when you're done looking at them. But if you don't have either one of these, what are you going to use? Are you out of luck?
Yes.
You're not out of luck. You can make a fire, put it out, and you have charcoal and fire. If you have a wood stove, you can make your own charcoal. You can actually take a piece of wood and put it in you know those old coffee cans used to have a metal lid, and you could put it on and put it in your oven, and you can bake it and make your own charcoal in your oven. And then, of course, you have to grind it and sift it until it gets to be a powder, right? So you're not out of luck if you can't get these nice grades. They will work.
And also, if you just have one of them, you can just use it either way.
Either way,
But
right.
you internally, externally, but you're not going to like taking a bath in the coconut shell, and I can guarantee that. So.
Okay. Well, Kimberly, we have some people here who have not drank charcoal before.
Oh, okay. Just come on up.
We would like one of you to come up at a time. First, those who have never had charcoal. Why don't you come on up, sister, and Kimberly will give you some charcoal. Water.
If you take it with a straw, it's not so bad. You don't get all messy.
We saw yesterday when
Yeah,
our
go ahead and
brother...
stir it. She's asking whether to stir it. Actually, it's a good idea to stir it because charcoal is not soluble. It will start sinking to the bottom of the cup. So,
Okay.
there you go.
Now, when you're starting off with little children who are a little bit intimidated, or even older people who are intimidated by the color, then you can put it in an opaque container and use that for them to drink so they don't see the black.
So, what it tastes like?
Chalky.
Chocolate, but not really no taste. Not really any
So
taste.
chalky is a texture, but really no taste.
Yeah.
I want to put some honey in it.
Oh, you want to put some honey in it?
Stories kind of get out of hand sometimes, and charcoal just passes from one end to the other, and it doesn't go into your bloodstream. Okay, so all it does is pass from here to the other end, and it's sponging up poisons as it goes along. In fact, we showed a picture yesterday where these young women who weren't able to get pregnant helped them have a pregnancy. Okay?
Who's next?
Yeah, I've had it before though.
That's okay.
That's
Just come on.
fine.
They can just
Come on
start
up
streaming
here.
up, so we can go through
Turn
it.
around and give them one, Kimberly.
They can help themselves.
Okay?
Kimberly, how much charcoal did you have in that?
Oh, I use like a heaping tablespoon. I can just show you how much I used.
This one here is the,
Detox 1600s, USP grade.
This is the blue label. We'll have you come up next. Yes.
Where is it? Do you have the detox back?
It's out there. It's coming. It's working its way back.
Okay.
good. I was thirsty
Thank you.
and dirty.
Sister, would you like to come on
Keep
up?
coming.
Now, Kimberly's she's put some powder in the water and stirred it up. It's easy to jump out of the glass, so we often she has a little jar about yay big, and she'll put some water in it, some charcoal powder, and then she puts the cap on and then shakes it up, right? So it doesn't get all over. It's very easy to spill, and the first few times you do it, you want to make sure you do it on a countertop that can wipe it up fairly easy.
Well, and I'm
Sister,
kind of
why don't you come
lazy
up here?
too. So I just use a little jar and I put a little bit of water and I put my charcoal in, I shake it up, I drink it, rinse it out and put the cap back
Turn
on, and
around
that's it. I don't wash anything.
There we go.
You already mixed
And no waste, you
We've already
know,
mixed it
the
for you.
plastic and everything. And he wants to try too.
Now, if you have somebody that's not cooperating, you can add it to grape juice. People have added it to Coca-Cola just to get it down their children. Whatever it takes for them to drink it. Right. Whatever's lost in what you're mixing it with will be more than made up for by the charcoal. So don't worry about what you're mixing it with if you don't have pure water.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now let me tell you that the International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicologists, a group of doctors and toxicologists who believe that mercury amalgam is toxic. And so they have a whole protocol of preparing themselves to removing mercury amalgam because the vapors, if they breathe them in, can cause problems. That's what these specialists believe. And one of the protocols is that they take charcoal powder and do exactly what we've done here and have one of the patients drink the charcoal water before they remove the mercury amalgam and then drink it again after they're done.
Well, they swish right afterwards and spit out, and then they'll drink some. I've actually done that myself.
No, they have to. No? They want them to swallow it. They don't, because anything that might end up in the gut, they want the charcoal to bind to, or it to bind to the charcoal. We're glad that you're here, and we're glad that you're willing to do this, because it's a beginning for you. And know that every hospital in North America uses it for accidental poisoning for little children and infants to the oldest people. They use it in hospitals for cancer surgery, all kinds of things it's used for. And they wouldn't be using it unless it worked. And the beauty of this is that it has no flavor. It has no taste or odor. So we'll give it to you the easy way, and that's through a charcoal. Now, through a straw. Now, if you had a baby or your grandbaby was visiting you, and they reached up into the medicine cabinet and took a whole bottle full of Demerol, what would you do? Well, most people, up until this point, you might have called 911, correct? And that's probably a good idea still to do that. But get the charcoal water in the bottle, and what you can do, if it's a very small infant, you would shake it up very vigorously in another container, let that charcoal settle out as much as you can, and then pour it into here and give it that way. But most times you don't have that luxury of waiting, right? So you just put some water in here, add some charcoal powder, shake it up vigorously, and then you'd give it to the baby. And you'd want to have that in your house, wouldn't you? Okay, Kimberly, what are you going to do here?
Okay, I'm just going to show them. Just so you know that I'm on the mic too. So here we go. This is how much I put in each one of them. So that's it. And then you want to respect charcoal. You don't want to start stirring too vigorously so it's all over the place. It's no fun if it gets all over. And that's it.
And even though it's black, it's being used in more and more toothpaste. Colgate and a whole slew of other toothpaste companies are now incorporating charcoal in because it makes your teeth whiter. And for people who have gum disease, gingivitis, it works very well.
We had one of our customers was sharing one of our customers turned another customer on to the charcoal, and he was telling us that his friend who was using our charcoal had been brushing her teeth just with the charcoal. So she was just, dipping her toothbrush into the charcoal, brushing away. And when she went to her last dental visit, the dentist was in there examining her teeth, and then all of a sudden he just stood up and looked at her and said, "What in the world are you doing? I have never seen such clean teeth in all my life." And so it's not just whitening your teeth, it's cleaning your teeth. It's getting the plaque and such off, and it's strengthening your gums as well.
Now charcoal is a bleaching agent. It's used to take color out of foods, including white sugar. Now, Kimberly, when I first met her, she had brown spots, large brown spots all over her face, and she has none
No, I have some.
Oh, come on. It's nothing compared to what she
Well,
had.
no, it's
So,
not. It's really
Go
improved.
ahead,
But
just
this
enjoy.
one just is really stubborn, but it used to be a lot bigger.
Drink it and suck it. Is that okay?
Drink
Do
it.
whatever you want.
Okay. Give her a paper towel, Kimberly. Now, we did this at that trade show I was telling you about. Now, would you like to turn around and smile at the camera? Smile. Show your pearlies. There you go.
My black lips.
Yes.
To get
Thank
the
you very
charcoal
much.
off,
Thank you.
You
Now, how did it taste?
It's fine.
Okay. There we go. Another graduate. Graduate.
okay.
Now, if you were to go to a hospital and you take one of these children there for accidental poisoning, this is what they would give them. There's 25 grams in here, 2.5 heaping tablespoons of charcoal powder. They would take this off, they would add water, put it back on, cap it, shake it, clip the top off, and that would be one dose.
Oh, no.
And it could be the first of 3 doses. That would add up to how much? 7.5 tablespoons of charcoal powder for a small child. So you can see that even in a hospital, they give a tremendous amount of charcoal. We have a question back there?
Yes, sir. I was just wondering with Kim, with the brown spot removal, was that attributed to charcoal only, or was it external and internal?
Well, she took it internally. But she also uses, she's developed a charcoal soap. And so between that, externally and also internally, it definitely had an impact on, we know that was the thing that did it.
The soap started working right away. I mean,
Let's just
when you
pass
say
this
right
around.
away, you can't expect immediate results. That's all I was basically using was the soap, and started seeing results. You know, it was like a couple months or whatever. Some lightening, and then it's a long story, but actually when I got into taking the charcoal internally, that's when it really started to make a difference.
And you can see it hasn't quite finished its job on me yet. You know, I'm getting there. I'm just spotty now. I used to be black, but you can see that I'm kidding. You're looking too serious. But it definitely has a bleaching effect, and you will see that on wounds sometimes. If you've left a charcoal poultice on a long time, it'll turn your skin a little bit whiter or paler. Yes?
Yeah, well, I just drank that. Would you do that every day or how often?
Depending on what you're trying to treat, yes. Some people take it on a daily basis, as Kimberly, as a preventive, because it does, but it only works for laboratory rats. And so since there's no rats here, I can't say categorically that if you take it, it'll prolong your life, but it's shown to prolong
Who knows
life
what we
34%.
are dealing with, from falling from the sky, from the stuff that we're drinking,
Okay.
the foods that we eat, we don't know. Everything we eat isn't organic.
Oh, the question was, could you take charcoal on a daily basis? Yes. There's no reason not to, except you want to make sure that you stay well hydrated. Drink plenty of water. Most North Americans are borderline constipated, and so we don't drink enough water. And if you're going to take something that's a binding agent, you'll need to either take more water, take less charcoal, or you can mix it a little bit with slippery elm to help it make sure that you don't get bound up. There is no time, except we generally say don't take it with your meal times. Give yourself a window around your meal times. As well, if somebody's on any medication, you want to give a break there. Doctors will say anywhere from 1 hour to an hour and a half. So that's the only contingency for when you should take it as far day, afternoon, evening. But in an emergency, you take it as soon as possible for poisoning. Yes. Okay, well, let's move on, and we'll come back to some questions again. Now we're going to demonstrate, Kimberly's going to demonstrate some charcoal poultices, and we're going to invite people up to for her to practice on.
Charcoal poultice, that's the easiest. We're just going to start with a 1/4 cup of water. There we go. Okay. And then we'll use 2 tablespoons of charcoal. Okay. It's always a good idea to put the cap back on the charcoal. You just never know who's going to come along and bump it. So you just don't want that flying all over the place. And we're going to use 2 tablespoons of the ground flaxseed. Now there is a recipe on the website. If you have whole flaxseed, you can use that as well, but then you're going to have to boil it.
That's tablespoons of flaxseed?
Yes. So 1/4 cup of water, 2 tablespoons of activated charcoal powder, and 2 tablespoons of the ground flaxseed. And then just stir. And we basically want a nice mud texture, not too dry, not too wet. So it mixes up quite quickly. And see, it's like mud. Okay. And now, just let's see, get our paper towel. We have a paper towel. Okey-doke. And just going to get a little charcoal off here, otherwise it'll be on the outside. Okay. And I'm just going to put that right in the middle. And now I can just make it any size I want, obviously. So okay. So we don't need to make this real big. Spread it out. Okay, then I just fold the north side down, the east, the west, and then the south. Okay, and now when I touch it, it's wet. Okay, it's coming through. You can see it left a little bit right here. That's a good sign. If it was a little dry, then I would just take a little water and pour it on there. Now, the reason that we want it to be nice and moist is because activated charcoal, when it's wet, has more drawing power, okay? So that is the whole purpose. The reason that we're adding something like ground flaxseed instead of, well, why don't you just mix charcoal and water together? Well, the reason we don't do that is because if we just do charcoal and water, it's going to dry out quite quickly. I mean, very quickly, and it won't be as effective. Okay. And so then we'll just say, oh, she has a burn here, or maybe some sort of skin infection or whatever. And we just put that on. And then we just cover it with plastic. Now the plastic that I'm using is just plastic cut from a plastic bag. That's all it is. Yes, I could use like the food wrap, like this, but as you all know, it really clings to itself. I mean, that's its whole purpose, and sometimes it's quite frustrating. And also, with these, I can just use them over and over again. I can do this, and they're still just fine. And let's see which one would be the better one. Maybe this one. Okay, and then I'll just ask her to hold it. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, and there's many ways to wrap it, of course. But what's really nice is this stuff that sticks to itself, this bandage that's really handy. And I can't get it off. Okay, and then I just wrap it. And I just want to make sure that I get it snug, but we don't want to wrap it so tight that it starts cutting off her circulation and it's uncomfortable. But it does feel good. She just said it feels good. And now she can go out and about, and everybody would know something was wrong, but it doesn't look bad. I mean, it just looks fine. Okay. Now you'll notice that I have some other ones up here. These I get at the animal feed store. They're pretty much designed for the large animals, such as the horse and whatnot. And they come in all kinds of fun colors. And it's a lot cheaper than the same stuff in the flesh color at the store. So we like to stock up on these because it's really a lot more economical.
Who would like to come on up and we'll put a dressing on there. Come on up. Thank you. Here.
Okay, we're just going to do this all over again. We're going to do the same one.
Can you do it in this plate?
1/4 cup of water. Okay. Two tablespoons of the charcoal powder. Now this one isn't as critical. Okay. 2 tablespoons. And 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed. Oh, spilled it. That's it. And where did my spoons go? You cleared everything up for me. Okay. Okay, and then we just keep stirring till we get a nice mud. The temptation is to add a little bit more flaxseed if it seems too watery at first, but it's good to just stir a little while because you don't want it to get too dry. It will thicken up with a little stirring. And that's it. Okay. And then it'll be easier for me to do the paper towel just up flat. Okay. And of course you don't have to make it as big. You could just make a little one. Okay. Okay, let's just do a little one. Okay, north, east, west, south. And so it's nice and wet, left a little wet right there. Now this is what we show, like, oh, and I just want to, obviously there's just one layer of paper. And that's the side that we're going to do. All the folded paper is going to be on the back. But whereas just one layer, where you know, that's where we're going to make contact. Put it right there. It always was. Okie doke. And we'll just, this looks about the right size. We'll just put this on. And the way it's sitting, I really don't even need her help keeping it on, but we could just ask her to hold it just a little bit. This is ideal if you're at home or in another country or someplace where you just don't have all these conveniences. And so we'll wrap it, and we won't even use a pin. We'll just take some material that's been rolled like this, because I hope this is long enough.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not so sure.
Keep going. There you go.
It's not long enough.
Cut it back.
Okay, so then we'll just do a little snip here. Tear it and tie it. So you don't have to have anybody running out to the store to grab this, that, or the other thing. That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, sister, would you like to come back up again, please? And you're now going to be the practitioner.
she's using a 1/4 cup of water. She put the lid back on. Two tablespoons. And not too full. Yep.
Okay, so she's doing the same thing.
Yeah, just use all of it. Okay.
Does it matter which way you put it on the paper towel?
No, use a spoon, spread it out.
You
Use
want
a
to spread her out to what size you want. What size do we want? What are we doing?
I
Like,
haven't seen it yet. That's good. Keep going. Very good. Yes. Perfect. That should be good enough. Unless it's a much bigger wound than that.
what are we doing here?
Very good.
Oh, that's a good size for what we're doing.
Face the camera, Kimberly. Okay, if you, sister, you just walk around in front, please.
Is that nice and wet?
Yes, it is.
Okay, perfect. Okay. We want it moist, but we don't want it dripping, and she's just got it perfect. I think I'd do it the other way.
Oh.
Yeah. There you go.
Kimberly?
Okay. And then we might want to just do it and fold it over so it's not overly big.
Use a pink.
Pink? Okay. Oh, you're the lucky one. You get the pink.
What?
Yeah, just have a good time. We're just among friends. This is really where you come into laying your hands on people, and this is real love, okay? Like I shared with a couple of you yesterday, say you went over to someone's house and you did a simple treatment on them. What if it didn't really do a whole lot? You think they're going to be mad at you? No, they're not going to be mad at you. They're just going to be really just blessed that you came over, that you cared enough for them, and you're going to pique their interest. It's going to help some. Just the fact that you're doing this with someone, they're feeling loved.
What's the next? What? Prayer. So put your hands on her and ask for a blessing.
Mind if I pray with you? Okay. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this beautiful day. Thank you for the opportunity to provide care, love, and treatment to this young lady. Bless her, heal her wound. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
So it's ideal for, doing it at nighttime while you're sleeping and such like that, when your body's naturally healing itself. That's the most ideal time, but obviously you can put it on any time. I would leave it on for at least 8 hours. Usually by, into the program, people are saying, oh, it already feels better.
Okay, Kimberly, why don't you come on the back here? And I don't want you to tell her anything.
Oh, were you paying attention?
Now, what is your name?
Kayla.
Kayla.
Oh.
Kayla is going to do a treatment on one of her sisters. I want one of her sisters to come up here and sit in a chair.
Okay, and we
Okay.
can start while they're doing that. So,
Now,
let's see.
there's no
Yep.
warning in this. Most, I think we'll have her go around front,
But she can stay here while she's watching her big sister.
okay?
Up,
Which-
quarter cup of water.
What's your sister's name?
Ellie.
Ellie?
Yes.
Okay.
And I would
fine.
just use the measuring spoons.
There you go.
She did 2 tablespoons of the ground flaxseed. Probably should have had it on this because you're right-handed.
Does it matter whether you put the flaxseed in
No.
charcoal?
No difference. Doesn't matter. I just find it's a little easier to put the charcoal in first. And then I'm putting the ground flaxseed on top. Kind of holds it down while I'm starting to stir, but it doesn't matter.
So that's 2
Yep, 2 tablespoons of charcoal, and she put the lid on. And you're going to be the patient? Is that it?
So this is the group challenge.
Yeah.
Take a spoon and mix it first.
Want to mix it?
There you go.
Yeah, and we'll probably make a smaller one for the little one. So she's starting out slow stirring, and that's a good idea because it's just, it won't poof out. And now let's get to the point where she can be a little more aggressive. Okay. There we go.
Everybody can breathe. It's all right.
Good job. Okay, so she stirred it. Okay. And then I think it's easier to do it right on the thing there. We've got one of these over here. We'll put the charcoal side up. And just put it right in the middle. That's probably enough. Now this one's just a little bit dry, and that's good. I want you to see what we're going to do.
Okay.
And you can make them as thick or as thin as you want. It's your poultice. You do what you want. Basically, the more charcoal, the better. Okay? Then what do you do? Very good.
Now, if I can get the 2 of you to go out front, have your sister sit in the
Okay.
chair,
Okay, that's
and we're going to have you put it on her leg.
Okay.
just follow your big sister.
Actually, take one shoe off, Kayla, and put it on top of her foot.
Oh, first.
Yeah, there you go. Just sit down.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. Take one shoe off and then put it on top of the foot. Yep, that's it. You
Yeah.
put that on top of the foot and some plastic. Okay, a little bit shy. Okay, let's have everybody close their eyes so she can turn around.
So John, you can put it underneath the foot to absorb.
Yes. But let's say that's where I had my strep infection was on the top of my foot. And if I'd done it right then, I could have saved myself a lot of grief. It started from a stubbed toe, and Brother Don has a ingrown toenail. How would you treat an ingrown toenail with charcoal? Any ideas? Brother Don has a ingrown toenail that's has become quite sore. How would you treat that? What would be the easiest way?
Bucket of water.
Okay, did somebody mention water?
Bucket of water.
Bucket of what kind of water?
Charcoal water.
Warm charcoal water, and let it soak, yes.
Okay, good job.
Oh, that is so
Oh, wait, we need a
neat.
picture. We need a picture.
Stand me with your sister, Kayla. Did you see your pink foot? That's all right. That's fine. Don't worry. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't get it. Okay.
Yeah, can you show the pink foot?
On the other side. There you go. There you go.
Wow, see, she got a pink foot. Okay, thank you. We really appreciate your help. So, as far as the ingrown toenail, you could soak it in charcoal
sorry.
water for a while, and then you could actually make a poultice. Now, Kimberly's going to make a charcoal patch. And the charcoal patch really, you can see that this jelly that she's made here is kind of lumpy, and it doesn't mold very good. But a charcoal patch, she will use slippery psyllium seed husk powder. We first learned psyllium seed making a patch from a woman who is a concert violinist, works at Black Hills Health Center in South Dakota, and I mentioned her story how she had cellulitis on her leg and she went to a specialist, and the specialist suggested just cutting the leg off. She ended up coming to Wildwood and talked to Dr. Roby Sherman, I think it was, and she said, oh, we can take care of that in about a half an hour. And she gave her alternating hot and cold and charcoal. And she also learned how to make these psyllium seed husk powder and charcoal poultices that work very well, and that's what Kimberly is going to show to you right now, because they mold and they can also peel off very easily.
Okay. Okay, on this one, we do have the recipe and the video on our website, but you do want to follow this recipe. The other one's very forgiving. This one is not forgiving. If you get too much psyllium seed husk in there and it gets a little dry, it becomes like a rock. You can't add more water. It just doesn't work. So less is more when it comes to adding the psyllium seed husk. So this one you do want to follow the recipe. Of course, it is ideal that it's psyllium seed husk powder, not just psyllium seed powder. Okay, so a 1/4 cup of water. Okie doke. And then 2 tablespoons, everything that's the same. 2 tablespoons. I see it puffing out. Okay. And then we're just going to use a slight teaspoon, not tablespoon, slight teaspoon. So we're going to use the teaspoon, okay? And I'm just going to, because otherwise, and just mess around with it, you know, and you'll see what I mean as it becomes like a little rock if you get too much in there. Okay. Now we just start stirring carefully at first. Now this one is where you have to be a little patient. And we're just going to stir. And now it's getting to be where the ground flaxseed was, just mud. Okay, so now it's just like mud. Just looks about exactly the same. We're just going to keep stirring. And as we keep stirring, it will eventually pull away from the glass. And it becomes like, I don't know, some of people my age and such will remember silly putty. I don't know if they still have it or not. What?
Play-Doh.
Yeah, but it's more like maybe Play-Doh, but it really is like a silly putty. See how it's cleaning up the glass? How you can see through the glass? Okay. And so this is what we want. Now I can just mold it. So here I have a ball of the charcoal. And what could I do with that? Now it's very pliable. And I could just take a glob of this and use it in my mouth. I could just mold it and put it over an abscess, put it wherever I wanted to. Maybe I had a wound and I just wanted to grab a glob of it. Yes? The question was asked, could you take this and put it under your eyes, the bags of your eyes, But it would probably fall off. You'd have to tape it or something. Ideally, for something like that, you would want to make like a charcoal mask, maybe just out of half coconut oil and half charcoal, or maybe with aloe vera gel.
Yeah, you can make
Works
that nice.
very nicely. Yeah. And we'll just mix aloe vera gel, and I'll show you how to do that. That is coming up. Okay, so, well, anyway, so this is just a start. Now I have a wet paper towel here, and I'm just going to get my area wet right here. And so this will help my plastic stick better. If you don't do that, the plastic will be slipping and sliding. And so we'll just tear this off carefully. There is some stuff in the market called, it clings really, really well to itself, and that works also. But this is what most people have on hand. And so I just lay it out. And see how the water just causes it to stick nicely? And so that will be helpful when we start rolling it out. And now we'll just put this little blob down. Okay? And it takes just about a minute from when you start stirring. It takes about 1 minute. Okay, so obviously I can do whatever I want to do. This is, you can see how if I just wanted it in a circle to put over a knee, it'd be very nice. Somebody with breast cancer. And speaking of breast cancer, a lot of times when people have their tumors burst and such, horrible smell, you could make something like this to put over it, and it will take away the odor immediately, right away, immediately. And then it will start to absorb a lot of that fluid and such. So I just do it like that. I can do whatever I want, round, whatever, square. If you go on our website, you'll see that I've made them out of this much charcoal. Okay, I've made them this big. But it takes a little time to roll it. And so then we'll just put this on top. I'm going to do another one. This is what I don't like about plastic wrap. It just really clings. Okay. And then we just lay this on top. And just get it as good as you can. Okay. Okay. That's it. So now I have a nice contact. It's down, and then I just roll it out. And like I said, the bigger you make it, the thinner it is. So you just roll it out like a pie. But the beauty of it all is regardless of how big I actually make it, I can cut it up and do whatever I want. And what else is nice is I can just make a whole bunch of these and put them in the freezer. And just lay them on top of a cookie sheet and freeze them. And then after they're frozen, just put them all into a plastic bag. That should be about it, huh? That look good? Okay. Okay. So I'm going to put this actually in the freezer. I can put it on right away. I can, okay? But I have found that when I freeze them first, even for 10, 15 minutes, a gelling takes place and they don't run as easily. So if I were to put this on like it is now, nice and warm, it's most likely going to ooze out once we cover it and wrap it. But when I freeze them, they don't do that as much. So I'm just going to go ahead and freeze that. So it's always good to put it on something flat. And I'll just pop it in the freezer. So we're just going to let it sit out for just a few minutes, and it will be just fine when it's in a few minutes.
We're going to start now letting Don soak his toe. Maybe we can get a picture of that.
So how much water is in there?
Just enough to cover up to his ankles. We want to cover his toe, and that's
About
it.
a gallon?
No, well, I don't think so. Just enough, whatever the container is, you just want to cover the ankle. So again, he has, it looks like a really bad stub toe, but it's ingrown. And so we just want to cover this area so it begins to soak. And I put in 2 tablespoons of charcoal powder. Now, when you're putting it in the water, you want to make sure it doesn't burn your patient. So if it doesn't burn your hand, it won't burn your patient. So your hand is the thermometer when you put it in the water. This is exactly what I did for the man on that island who had what? We think he had gout because he had a swollen, bigger toe than that, swollen, red, angry looking, hot, and I just had him soak his foot in that. Now, a little lesson here in some physiology. Your nerve pathways, they carry the sensation of pain, also carry the sensation of heat. So if somebody's having a lot of pain, what would be a natural way of covering the sensation of pain? Applying what? Heat. Now, the pain might be underneath, but it's not, you don't feel it, right? Because the heat is masking the pain sensation. So that's why a lot of people will feel almost instant relief when they have some trauma to their body or an arthritic pain or something like that. They feel, oh, that feels so good. Have you heard that before? People getting into a bath and their muscles are all sore. That's one of the things that's happening. Well, let me just show that to you. So you can see that's a little bit of a contortion, isn't it? Okay, you got a picture of that? Okay. Now, the reason we started this is so that this one is melting. And then, as Kimberly says, it will mold around the toe very easily. And we've actually had people who've had hammer toe surgery, and they weren't healing very well. And they found this was the cat's meow. This worked perfectly because they could mold it around their toes and easily peel it off when they were done. So areas that are typically hard to cover, this works very ideally. Now, personally, I would put it just against the skin. I wouldn't put it inside of a paper towel. If it's done right, you can just peel it off when you're done. It comes off that easily. And our friend Cheryl Rath, as Kimberly said, she would make up a bunch of these and stick them in the fridge. And that's what she used whenever she had when she was more inflamed with the cellulitis. She would just pull one out of the fridge, let it thaw out, wrap it, and that was it. And after several years of doing this constantly, the last time we saw her, she said, I have no problems with cellulitis at all anymore. Now you can imagine if you had it you had one person who had it in the eyes. Now that would be, you could make it with flaxseed, but you could also make it with psyllium seed. And if you didn't have those, what are some other ingredients you could use? Olive oils. Oil is a little bit messy. Ellen White talks about mixing charcoal with oil and using it internally. Okay. When you use the oil, it gets very sticky and hard to clean up.
Except for the coconut oil. It comes off very nicely, but the olive oil is a mess.
Can you use cornstarch?
Yeah?
You can use cornstarch, oat flour, wheat flour,
Cassava flour.
tapioca, anything that will make a little bit of gel. Some things work better than others.
It's starting to, it only takes about 10, 15 minutes for it to relax and melt. And so now we can bend it without breaking it.
Kimberly, I'd like you to make up something you'd make as a face mask. Could
Want me
you?
to do that
While
first?
his toe is still
Want to let
soaking
them
here,
soak a little bit? Okay.
go ahead, and if you go on the internet, you're going to see all these YouTube young women making facial masks. These facial masks actually go back to a woman named Cleopatra. Anybody have heard of her? And she was famous for her beauty, amongst other things. And she used charcoal for her facials as one of her things. So now it has really caught on. We have estheticians that contact us, purchase charcoal, and they're making all kinds of facial and beauty items for people who have certain skin problems. And mixing it with, in this case, you could use what, Kimberly?
You could
Let me
use aloe
slide you
vera
this way.
gel is a really nice one. You can use the real plant that you have in your house. I find it to be a little sticky.
Thank you, thank you.
Whereas
Versatile.
this is it's like, it says it's 99% aloe vera gel, but the other 1% just makes it a little less sticky. But I use both. So definitely. So it's really no exact amount that you have to use. If you wanted to have something exact, we could just say tablespoon here. Okay. Aloe vera gel. Let's make 2. I'm sure there'll be plenty that want to try this out.
Remember, aloe vera is healing in itself.
Oh yeah.
So here you're combining 2 natural healers together. Here we're using a hot foot bath, hydrotherapy, and charcoal. So sometimes you will mix your remedies together to make a better treatment.
And you always you want something to keep the charcoal moist, and this will stay on your face very nicely. And so then you can use whichever activated charcoal you want to use. Probably the one that's going in a lot of cosmetics now is the ultrafine coconut shell. And so, like I said, that doesn't come off as easily in just water and such, but it does come off much more easily when you have something like aloe vera gel. So we can just go ahead and use that. So I use 2 tablespoons of the aloe vera gel, but I won't use 2 tablespoons of the charcoal. I don't need as much. Just like a slight tablespoon will be fine. That's it. Okay. Now, somebody had asked earlier about putting it on her face. She was concerned about the dark circles under her eyes. This would be what you'd want to do. You could do the aloe vera gel, or you could use coconut oil. Or you could use both. You can do whatever you want. Okay, so that was it. There you go. Now you have a mask, and I'm not going to demonstrate it, so somebody, if they want to put it on their face. Okay, come on up. Thank you.
Oh, we have a taker.
Yes.
Okay, so you have, yeah, you'll be fine. Okay. Well, that's awfully nice of you. Okay. Well, she's been wanting to deal with this for a long time, but I'm going to say this. You need to start taking the charcoal internally as well.
Charcoal is desiccating. It actually has about 25% desiccating power, so it will suck up moisture.
Well,
You can
at least
go on the internet, on YouTube, and you can see them putting them on. So they they actually can make a mask and freeze it.
You don't have any makeup.
The same way, just cut out your eye holes and place it on like that, okay? There's a number of different techniques. Just go on YouTube. You'll see all these young women playing with this idea,
She wants to do her whole face.
okay?
She wants to look like me.
Cleopatra.
We have a little acne there, so that'll help. This is really good for blackheads, any kind of acne, whatever.
Joseph, you have a question?
Is there any possibility of staining based on
Staining?
staining the skin or anything? Based on
No, just your
Actually,
clothes.
it has the opposite effect. It has a bleaching quality. And it definitely improves complexion.
Doesn't it, though? Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You'd think of it's the last thing you'd want to use. If you had an open wound that was going to
No,
heal
this is
extremely
just-
fast, maybe then, but otherwise it will just push it off itself. People have said that yes, you can leave a tattoo. I personally never seen one. In all these years and thousands of applications, I've never seen it happen, but I can't say never, right? It's going to happen.
Say never
Is
for
there
what?
some way of holding her hair? Oh,
that's fine.
okay.
What about the tattoo?
I've just never seen a tattoo effect.
No.
It would have to be like you cut it with a knife, and it's somebody with very good circulation. You put charcoal in the wound, and it healed almost quick. You know how some wounds will heal very quickly, and it healed over the charcoal, and that's the only way I know of really tattooing yourself. Most wounds that are infected
Now, if
are
you
going to
don't
heal from the
mind leaving this
outside,
on.
and they're going to push the charcoal off as they heal. The question is eczema, psoriasis, shingles, any number of skin complications respond very nicely to a charcoal.
Oops.
Yes. Oh, I would use that for sure. Along with the aloe vera. Yes, brother.
What did she just say?
There was a question here. Our sister has some, is it eczema on the knee? And people have, not everybody, not all the time, but some people have responded very favorably to using charcoal in a wet solution of some sort. We're getting lots of questions here now.
The chemist will speak. When you spill the charcoal and you try to clean it up, there's only one thing that will dissolve carbon, and that's molten iron. When I worked in the foundry, they'd throw a 50-pound bag of iron in the molten furnace, and in no time it's dissolved. That's the only thing that really will dissolve carbon.
Right. It has, especially activated carbons. They do not want to melt. You can't light a match to them. They won't catch on fire. You can light charcoal, but you cannot light activated charcoal. Well, thank you, sister, for being willing to do this. Why don't you come back here and face both cameras, if you don't mind. Kimberly, can you just stand behind her for a minute?
One question. You use the aloe vera on this face mask. Can you use coconut oil?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
And what would be the ratio? What would be the recipe for the coconut?
Basically the same. 2 parts of the coconut oil, 2 parts of the aloe vera to 1 part of the charcoal. Otherwise it'll get too thick and muddy-like, but you can do whatever texture that you find is best. Ideally, you want to leave it on for at least 15-20 minutes. The longer, the better. The longer you leave it on, the more effective it is. The longer you're leaving it on to draw out toxins and poisons and whatnot.